The Toronto Raptors got bit by the injury bug very early on in the season, and now it's got Scottie Barnes. So for a team that had already admitted to being in a rebuild year, what does it really mean for the rest of the season? Let's get into it. Welcome back to MHR Sports, the YouTube channel completely dedicated to providing you with Toronto Raptors content, whether it be in videos like this or in live streams on the channel for things like watch parties, which we do for plenty of Raptors games. Make sure if you enjoyed this video along the way, you hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like it. And hey, happy Halloween to everybody out there. But for today's video, we had to discuss a new outlook for the Toronto Raptors this season based on the injuries that have hit the team. I said going into the season in a video I made talk about what the best case scenarios would be for the team and how they could get there. And for me, like, best case for the team could have done this season was likely in the range of 40 wins. But in order to get even close to that, the team had to stay healthy. Not completely healthy because that's unrealistic, but just relatively healthy for this season. You know, you have Barnes, Barrett quickly playing something like 70 plus games each, maybe 65 plus games each. But it appears as though that is not going to be the case because even in the first preseason game, the Raptors got hit by injuries. RJ Barrett was balling out in his preseason debut, the first preseason game for the Raptors before he had to leave with injury, missed the rest of preseason, missed the start of the NBA season. Emmanuel quickly in the first game of the season landed hard on his backside, and he's missed every game since then. Scottie Barnes now bit by the injury bug. He has a right orbital fracture, a fancy way of saying he has an eye injury that's going to keep him out for a minimum of 3 weeks. Going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. Hopefully he can come back at that point. So for a Raptors team that was already likely on the outside of the player picture looking in, to suffer these injuries, these setbacks, especially to their franchise player, Scottie Barnes, what should our expectations for the team be at this point? What is the outlook for the team at this point? What should be the plans of the team? And is tanking already coming into the equation? Well, here's the thing. It's way too early. We are 5 games into the season at the time of recording. I understand the Raptors are 1-4, but best believe every decision for at least the start of the season will still be for the Raptors to go and try and win as many games as possible. What I was saying preseason before the year started was, look, let's see how we do. If we're on playoff pace, let them go. If we're not, sure, take a step back and tank. But it doesn't really help with the development of the team if you don't actually go out there and try to win games, at least for a little bit of the season. Like people in the chat in my watch along yesterday, as the Raptors fell to the Charlotte Hornets, were saying, just shut down RJ Barrett and start tanking already. You know, there's a give and take when it comes to tanking. Yes, you want to look at the draft picks. Yes, you want to look at putting yourself in the best position to land a player like Cooper Flagg in the draft, who has landed on the thumbnail of today's video. But with tanking, you also want to see development. That's also part of tanking. And even though RJ Barrett is one of the more veteran players, I guess, on this team, he's still very young and still needs to get reps out there on the court and play well. Like, the past 2 games have been a perfect example of what you would kind of want out of a rebuilding team. A close loss to the Nuggets. Granted, the Raptors blew a late lead and should have won, but a good performance where they fall late. And then the Charlotte Hornets game where they have a very good performance. They fall late. They play well. You get great development reps out of guys. But if you're on team tank, if you're on team rebuild here, a loss going in that column isn't necessarily a bad thing. So for a team that, when pretty healthy, I thought would finish with about 32 wins this season, obviously with the injuries hitting the team like this, that projection is going to be lower. Like 3 weeks without Scottie Barnes is going to be difficult any time of the season, anytime you're out there trying to play, but especially for a Raptors team that has the most difficult start to the season in the NBA based on win percentages from last season and strength of schedule based on last season's win percentages. To go through the toughest schedule to start the season without your franchise player, it's going to set any team back. That was always going to be part of the difficulty in this Raptors team trying to be a playoff team, trying to make a push this season. It's just that we know they need to be well on playoff pace, or else the front office is going to look at things, assess the situation, and take a step back. But battling through that schedule, battling through these injuries, is going to be tough. And it's likely going to be a difficult season to watch. But this is just the start of the journey. This is the first year of the rebuild for the team. So we shouldn't be going into this season with these massive expectations for winning games. I think that fans are going to have to become accustomed to games like the one against the Hornets and the one against the Nuggets, but also become accustomed to games like the ones against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where the Raptors were not really competitive in that game throughout. And there's going to be plenty of games that are difficult to stomach, but the silver lining right now is the team is still going to be playing everybody who's healthy and available. Maybe they won't rush a guy back from injury that, is close to being ready, but maybe not ready. They won't rush guys back from injury. But if you're healthy at the start of the season, you are going to be playing. And the Raptors have an exciting young group of players, not just with their core guys, Barnes, Barrett, Quickly, when they are healthy, but development pieces like Grady Dick, who has looked to have taken a huge jump forward in the offseason. My God, does Grady Dick look fantastic for the Raptors. And the crop of rookies that have come into the team. Jamal Shed looks like an absolute steal at 45th overall. Jonathan Bobo looks incredibly intriguing at 31 as he starts to find his footing in the NBA. We haven't even seen our top draft pick, Jacoby Walter, play in a Raptors uniform. We saw him in Summer League. I guess you call that a Raptors uniform, but we haven't seen him in one of the NBA uniforms as of yet. So when he comes back, we have that to look forward to as well. We have the Raptors 905 housing products like Ulrich Shamshe, who that's another piece. I'm excited to see what his developmental trajectory looks like. So even though there's going to be more losses than we would want, my preseason prediction of 31, 32 wins, look, maybe they surprised, but this team needed to be somewhat healthy to get close to that 32-win mark. And the fact that they're not going to be healthy, it seems like Barrett has already had an injury. Quickly has already had an injury. Barnes has already had an injury. It's not going to be a fun season for win-loss. Don't go into the rest of this season hoping for tons of wins in a playoff appearance. Go into this season hoping that the core solidifies itself as the main pieces for this team going forward. And hopefully Grady Dick joins them and we can start having conversations. It's not the core three players of Barnes, Barrett, Quickly. It's the core four players of Barnes, Barrett, Quickly, and Dick. Those are the four guys leading this team, and potentially a fifth player comes in with a hopefully pretty good pick in the NBA draft based on the way things are going down this season. But on top of those guys, the development pieces. Who are the guys that are going to solidify themselves from this season coming off the bench as the main rotation guys for next season? And perhaps this is the start of something that it'll be rough at first, but it'll all be worth it in the end when we see the end product. And that may not come for a few years here. But as much as there's going to be some rough games, that Charlotte Hornets game, as much as they lost, that Nuggets game, as much as they lost, those were entertaining games fueled by great performances by the Raptors. And some little mistakes are occurring here and there from coaching, from players. But as long as you manage your expectations for where this team is heading, I believe it is still going to be an enjoyable season. I say that knowing that in some of the watch parties we do on the channel, I'm just going to be in agony. Raptors down by 20, 30 points at halftime in the third quarter. It's 10 minutes of garbage time at the end of the game. Those might be some agonizing moments, but there will be those little glimmers of hope sprinkled within. And the big glimmer of hope, which could be what the draft pick ends up being at the end of the season. Who knows where the lottery gods have us in that ranking, but it'll be tough. But at least for the time being, this team is not tanking. This team is out there trying to win basketball games. So let's enjoy it as much as possible and enjoy the ride, enjoy the start of this process occurring for the Toronto Raptors. We were spoiled for a decade of success. Now, maybe the karma's catching back up to us, but there are positive signs that things are going to turn around, though it may not be very quickly. So, what do you make of the Raptors and their outlook for the season? What is your current win prediction for the team based on the new information that we have? Give me all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. That's all for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content just like this, and I will see you again next time for another video. Happy Halloween, everybody.